Xobin Talks. Uh, Xobin Talks is our annual initiative where we conduct interactive sessions with thought leaders covering all areas of recruitment, which could be retention, upskilling, talent management, as well as hiring. In our previous sessions, we've had some really good conversations, right from engineering managers at Hotstar to head of recruitment operations at leading staffing agencies. My guest today is Arun. And for those of you who don't already follow Arun on LinkedIn, Arun has over 5 years of experience in campus hiring, in employer branding, and talent management. He is currently the AVP, Assistant Vice President HR at Equitas Small Finance Bank, and previously he's also worked with the likes of ICICI Bank. So Arun is a seasoned professional in HR, and at the same time, he's an avid chess player as well. So Arun, welcome to Xobin Talks. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for the kind introduction.
Thank you, Arun. Arun, you have a background in technology. You did your computer science engineering, and then you did an MBA in HR. So you're the perfect candidate to understand uh, the changes or digital transformation in the HR space. Currently, a lot of companies are in the planning phase for campus recruitment. And since you've done that in the past, we thought it would be great if we could pick your brains on things related to campus recruitment and university hiring. So I hope that's fine with you.
Sure.
All right, perfect. So, Arun, companies today know that they want young talent, and the moment they know that, they think about campus recruitment, they think about freshers. But the very first roadblock, which comes in their mind, is where do we go? What do we do? So, in your experience, how should a company approach campus hiring from a mental framework point of view? How do you create a target list of colleges that a company has to go to? What are your thoughts on that? How do you create a list of colleges that you decide that, okay, this is our target list of colleges that we are going to go to?
Yeah, sure. So, good question to start with. By the way, so I would like to clarify that whatever views that I share during this conversation do not represent any of my current employers or previous employers. All right. So with that disclaimer, let me
Arun, I think the audio on your end is a bit weak.
Okay, is it better now?
Yeah, it's slightly better right now. And
I was just
the
saying that whatever
all right.
views I was sharing, and I will be sharing, did not represent my employers or the previous employers in any way. Okay. So you were asking about how companies venturing into campus recruitment, what kind of colleges they can open. See, generally, if you see established companies who've been doing this over a period of time, they typically have a tiering list of campuses, tier one, tier two, tier three. I'm not just limiting myself to engineering campuses. This
Right.
also applies to management, MBA, and peer campuses as well. Right?
True.
And then again, so it's again based on the requirement, right? You make you know, the actual recruitment strategy based on the requirements that you have. Right? Say, for example, in banking, if you have a generic role, like a personal banker role, then you go to a tier three institute. Right? Or if it's a more specialized role, you go to a tier one. Same applies to engineering campuses. Let's say you have to hire 50 engineers. I mean, I've observed this with established companies as well. You can't hire 40 people from IITs of the world. It's not going to happen. So that again, you need to take a call.
Got it. So what
Right?
you're
When
saying
you
is
do this tiering, start with the tiering, right?
awesome.
The roles
Under-
differ, roles and CPC difference. That's what I was trying to.
Perfect. Perfect. So campus hiring is not a one man job at all. I mean, it's very rare that even we've seen companies have one or two people trying to pull out the entire campus recruitment for a company, and more often than not, they tend to fail if it's just a one-man job. What we see the best companies do is they have a team. Now, in your experience, how should a company construct a team which takes care of this campus recruitment as an entire project from end to end?
See, again, it depends on the number of people you're going to recruit, right? Let's say if it's a small volume, you're going to hire 10, 15 people, then the HR manager or whoever is handling the recruitment process can handle this end to end. But if you're
Okay.
going in bulk, let's say, bulk again, it depends because if you're, 500, 600 member organization, then you may hire 40, 50 people. And you may need a 2 or 3 member team. But if you look at the large IT companies of the world who, hire 3,000, 4,000 on a quarterly basis, then it becomes slightly challenging. You need a dedicated team for, reaching out to campus, conducting interviews, rolling out the offer letters, and again, handling onboarding, right? So, yeah,
But
that's how we should look at it.
have you seen today? There's a lot of focus on diversity. So, do you also take those things into consideration that okay, we want, because we want to hire a diverse talent, even the team which is responsible for campus hiring, do you also try to ensure that there is a bit of diversity in that, or are we digging too much into that aspect?
It is actually a mix of both. See, a lot of it has to do with the industry and the philosophy of the company. Not all industries treat diversity same way. So there's no good answer to it at this point of time. Particularly if you see in the last 2 years, companies never had the luxury to pick and choose. If uh, companies never had the luxury to choose, say, okay, I need X percentage. It was never really the case. So
Got it. uh, Arun, you've probably been, I'm not disclosing your age, but you've been part of that generation where you've yourself done, or you've yourself been part of campus recruitment when you were at your tech school or your B school. And now you're on the
yeah,
other side where you're also doing campus recruitment for your company. Uh, in the technology world, every 5 6 years is a complete generational change. Today is 2020, and probably 5 years ago also you were in some form or the other helping your erstwhile employer with the university recruitment and campus recruitment. What do you think has really changed over the past 5 years in campus recruitment? How much of it has changed and how much of it has remained the same?
yeah, that's a really good question. My audio is clear. Somebody was saying.
Yeah,
Abdul, can you hear me very well?
yeah, I guess the audio is better right now.
All right. So fundamentally, right, if you look at companies of any size, they're designed to operate in an efficient way, right? It's built on efficiencies, your systems, your processes, they're all built for efficiency. Right? The change that has happened over a period of time, at least considering 5 years back, let's say 2017, 18, or today, is that there is an expectation, I must say, of personalized experience, right, from the candidate side. Now, these are, two opposites. How do you manage volume hiring, or even if you're a small company, you're hiring 10, 15 people, right? That itself is a volume for you. So how do you manage this volume along with a personalized experience in campus hiring? That I see is a big challenge that has changed over the last 4 5 years. Right? Probably from my experience when I handled campus recruitments last year, after, I mean, typically you roll out the offer letters in November or December, right? And then what do you do? So I remember I arranged some Equitas, we arranged some meetings with senior management, and then we sent some goodies to their residents. We send a personalized letters, and you arranged all the logistics. In fact, when they reported on day one, they never came to office. So we arranged a tour of Chennai just to help them culturally get acclimatized to Chennai. So I see a lot of work on onboarding going forward because I mean, it was not there 4 years back. Let's say you have 100 positions, you efficiently select 100 people. That's it. That's enough. Right? But efficiency alone will not move the needle. I can see that. Yeah, I see a lot of work happening on onboarding. Well, so if you ask me what has changed in the last 5 years, this is a big change.
Awesome. Uh, just doubling down on that same question. Uh, when we interact with our companies, we are seeing two very distinct ideologies. One company states that we hire for attitude and we train for skills. That's one ideology. The second ideology is that we hire for skills and we want the top 5% of talent in every field, be it technology, marketing, HR, sales. We want top talent and we'll just make sure that they are a cultural fit, and that's it. Which end of the spectrum are you in? I'm not specifying about your current employer, but which end of the spectrum do you feel works better for companies? uh, the reason behind this question is we had instances where some of our clients came back and told us that the average retention for a person joining from college is probably 1 year, 1.5 years. If I'm hiring for attitude and training for skills, and I spend 6 months in training them for skills, and then in 6 months they leave, I am losing out on a lot. Instead, why don't I just hire people who are productive from day one or month one? Where do you sit in this particular argument?
See, uh, for every question, I shouldn't say it depends, right? So I'll just give some context to this question. Uh, see, which organization you're in, what are your capabilities in terms of the systems that you have in place? That makes a difference. For example, if you are in an industry and you are in the business for, let's say, 15, 20 years, right? And you have your L&D systems in place, your talent management systems in place, your career path frameworks in place, you know exactly what competencies you want in your people, then probably you can look at hiring for aptitude and then you train for skill. That is a feasible model, right? It has to be feasible. And it will be financially viable also for you. You can hire well, you can train them. You can. If you're actually talking about tech industry assets, it's slightly more challenging because the pace at which the industry changes slightly higher than the traditional industries.
Yes.
There may always be situations where you need to pay a premium to get that. So that's how I would see it. Having said that, when you're looking, I mean, you should also look at a longer time horizon, right? The worst thing you can do is you just hire from camp. I'm talking about campus. So if you the worst thing you can do is you just hire 100 people and then you forget about them.
Correct.
That's not the right way to do it as well. Because or in the recent past, I have seen prominent companies, prominent IT companies in this space taking care of a career plan up to 2, 3 years. Right? You can always give a retention bonus kind of thing, but then that really does not move. I don't see that alone moving the next going forward because what your target pool is not going to be a first generation. That generation is already over. Right?
Yeah.
You need other things in terms of the learning capability or other things that they look at. So you need some kind of career plan for 2, 3 years. You need to take care of them upskilling, reskilling, all that has to happen at least in the first 3 weeks, so that they have other reasons to stay with you for. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah,
Some
I think one of the major problems that we see is there's a lot of short termism related to related to campus hiring. Often companies come and they just hire. Uh, they feel that okay, they can finish it off in one shot rather than nurturing a relation with campuses. We'll probably touch base more on that and probably
Yeah.
deep dive on that a few minutes later. But I
Yeah.
also want to ask you about, while we are at campus hiring, we always say that the solutions of yesterday are the problems of today. So back in 2018 or 2019, the problems were, okay, how do you get automatic testing? How do you not have too much of time being wasted in traveling to a campus? How do you get automated scores? Those were the problems, and we built solutions around that. Today there are completely different set of problems, that problems or pain points that companies like you face. Do you mind describing some of the very specific pain points that you as a customer or you as a user find when you go on campus right now? Because a lot of it is on campus, and each of them are having a bit of a problem. So
Amit,
what?
your voice gets stuck in the middle. You have to repeat the last 30 seconds. I,
All
I
right.
couldn't hear you.
All right. So there's a lot of what are the key problems right now that companies face when they do virtual campus hiring or hybrid campus hiring or on campus hiring? What, according to you, are the key pain points or challenges?
See, I think companies have really understood, the online recruitment game. If you see, at least better today than say 12, 18 months ago. Right? But one big challenge that I see, as a result, let's say, of the virtual processes, is that candidates have the opportunity, I should say, to attend multiple interviews at the same time, and you don't know, uh, whether they'll join or not. Right? This is like saying, yeah, just to give you an analogy, a lot of tech people are in Bangalore, so you drive a sedan in Singapore traffic and you ask, and say you complain about traffic, right? You are the traffic, right? Because so, I mean, so I always say the talent will always go to the highest bidder, okay, and that will continue to happen, until we keep playing that game. Uh, I think that I would leave it at that because you know as long as you keep playing multiple offers, the tech talent will always go to the highest level. Right?
So you think salaries are the main issues, or drop off rates are the main issues at this point?
Uh, no, as far as campus recruitment, no, I'm only talking about the what to say the with regards to the virtual recruitment. Yes, that's how it is. I mean, see,
Okay.
it is an utopian situation to say that okay, if somebody has one offer, then you don't offer it, right? But how do you ensure that?
Yeah, it's very
That's why I
difficult.
said the other things are critical. Right? Let's say they're wrong, then what you do for them?
Correct. Correct. I mean, one of some of the other problems or some of the apprehensions that customers have had when they go to campus recruitment is, and this is a very often asked question, uh, what about malpractices? What about cheating that candidates do? We've had instances where some of our customers have come back and said that even the professors at the college are probably helping the students while a test is going on. Uh, do you, as a company, have apprehensions on that, or do you think it's a very small scale and at some point of time they'll get eliminated?
Uh, I've got as a company or as an individual. I mean, I've not faced this much of a problem at this point of time, so I'm not able to answer to this particular question. I mean, I know the various platforms do provide proctoring and other facilities, but again, see, there are talks about, I mean, cheating during evaluation tests, and then there is talks about moonlighting right after they join. Also, they went somewhere else. So, I mean, these practices, there are no right or wrong answers at this point. It's too. I mean, it's still early days.
So Arun, I'd like to move back to some of the points that we were discussing, and one of them was around short termism, and quite often companies have unrealistic expectations regarding campus recruitment. They do it once, and maybe it falls short of their expectations. They never try to do it again. As a company, what metrics do you think you should or a company should track to ensure that, or to at least figure out whether did they achieve the objectives or not? What, according to you, are the metrics that a company which is going to campus for the first time, first year or second year, what are the things that they should track in terms of metrics?
See, any company going for the first time, uh, uh, I assume they're not. We don't have the best-in-class HR systems in place to track all the matrices that you would otherwise like to track. But to start, such as one is stickiness given how long a person from particular campus stays. And you can monitor them. I'm sure they have an annual system in place. You can track that as to how well they perform. And also, you need to take care of the dropout ratios in every campus because I've seen in my career that the dropout ratios do well in most campuses. And it's important that the campus team is quite cognizant of that. And of course, in due course of time, as and when year on year, you also ensure that every year somebody looks at the campus where they stand in the overall rankings. Because within your tiering system, a campus, you can it's up to you, right, to move the campus up in the tiering list or down the tier. I've seen both happens.
So one should probably look at the drop off rate, the joining rate, and also assume that a cohort is joining your company. You should probably look at the performance of the people inside the cohort, and then
Definitely.
adjust the tiering system of the college.
It's not easy to adjust, but at least over a period of time, you can do that.
Sure. Here's another question. I mean, since we are at metrics, uh, what, according to you, is a realistic joining rate that companies, of course, it depends on the brand, but what is a realistic joining rate in campus recruitment? Because a lot of companies make mistakes over here. They over anticipate or they under anticipate. But in your experience, what do you think is a good joining rate?
See, I have this. My view is simple. Like, every company is unique. Okay, you may be operating the same sector or different sector. It does not matter. But every company has a unique is unique and it has unique value proposition. And over long periods of time, I understand brand perception matters, right? But if you reduce the time span, right, the perception of a brand varies significantly. Okay, it's like saying if you compare a test match versus a T20 or a turnover, it's like that.
Mhm.
And when you go to campuses, it's actually a short-term game, right?
Yeah.
There is at one side there is a student who is anxious to get placed. Then there is this placement committee who has the pressure to meet numbers, right? And then you as a recruiter. So it is a high pressure situation. So even if you're going to a campus for the first time, right? doesn't really matter whether you go virtually or you have your presence on campus. If you have a talent pool, you will get the campus. I don't see a challenge there. Okay. What is the other part of the question? Sorry.
The joining rate, like what is
Okay, yeah. So,
decent or a benchmark joining rate?
I mean, considering, I mean, over the last few years, I hear on the technology front from my colleagues that probably, the dropout rates have been around 40%. But realistically, in all the recruitment process, we should look at anywhere between 70 and 80%, barring these 2 years, because these 2 years have been sort of outliers. But I think we can look at a realistic ratio of 75-80%. Because I remember 5 years back, sorry.
So 75-80% means that if you want to hire 100 people, 75 of them join.
Yeah, 75-80% of joining is not something that.
Okay. So we have to account for 20-25% people dropping off, which currently you say has increased to 40%, which may be an aberration. It might come back to the mean average of 25%.
Yeah, I don't know the average because last 2 years there's not much data available. Right? You never had the time to go through actually how many. Slightly different, but I think realistically we can look at 75-80% of joinings coming from.
Got it. So till now we've probably covered the planning aspect or the execution aspect, but as you mentioned, even the candidate experience and their onboarding is very important. So when a company is planning campus recruitment, they also have to plan how do you onboard these freshers in a good manner. So what, according to you, is a best practice for companies, typical mistakes that they make, and how should they avoid it? What are your thoughts on that?
Onboarding.
Yeah.
I would say typical mistakes. It's like I go back to what I mentioned, right? The systems and process that we run, they are by design for efficiency. In today's world, that is not it. There is no step-by-step answer for how to onboard. I mean, how to do the best onboarding. It's not like, but my what to say, I should say, my view to thought leaders is that think of what all you can do to give them a pleasant experience. Like I mentioned, when we ran at Equitas last year, it's onboarding right from the chapter they accepted the offer. Step by step what we did to ensure that they feel good when joining the organization. So and even after they join, we have some 3 months, 6 months interventions. That kind of sets an expectation to the outside world. Okay, what all a candidate coming to a particular organization can expect, right? So from that, everything matters. You can always have a bot which answers queries for for candidates, right? When is my interview result expected, or things like that. What should I, you bring on my first day? But that's really not. There's always a human touch to the process, and
Those are the gimmicky aspects that probably we should avoid, and it's more of a personal touch. I think people today can easily smell when it's a bot versus when it's an actual human who's talking.
easily. Yes, everybody goes to LinkedIn, everybody goes to Glassdoor, and read your.
So you also make sure that the employer brand from a LinkedIn point of view, from a Glassdoor point of view, is good, and people know that okay, this is a good, large, trustworthy company that I can build my career in, at least for the first few years.
See, again, Glassdoor scores are again these scores. Nobody knows what is a good score. Nobody knows what is a bad score, and you will never know what the candidate reads, right? And you also don't know who is writing these stories. So, again, right. But one thing is critical. See whether they. I mean, it actually sees the light of day or not. At least that intent should be that we give uh, pleasant onboarding experience for candidates. Very you kind of set an that definitely fits.
All right. All right. Thank you, Arun. Thank you so much for your time. I think that's all the time that we have, and that's all the questions that we have from our end. Thank you everyone for joining in, and all those who are listening over here. Arun, any parting thoughts for someone who's doing this for the very first time? A lot of folks who are listening to this particular session are going to campus hiring or doing virtual campus recruitment for the first time. So any advice, any parting thoughts to them?
Hey, like I said, it doesn't matter whether it's a first time, second. You will always have candidates. If you want something, you will get it. Campus. It's a good experience for everybody. I think the experience is going to be unique. So let's find out.
Sure, sure. India is a large enough country, so I guess
Precisely.
wherever we go, there will be candidates. It's just about us trying to find out the best ones who fit our requirement. Thank you all for joining in. Thank you, Arun, again. It's been great talking to you. We have another very action-packed session which is coming up next week. So stay tuned for that. And until then, goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.